So thought I'd do a video on my pregnancy. So I found out I was pregnant super duper early, like I was 4 or 5 weeks along when I found out. It was actually really funny, I didn't believe it. I weighed on 4 sticks. Still went to the doctors, asked them for a blood test, and they're like, you've already done 4 pregnancy tests? Lady, you're pregnant. But my partner, we always sort of thought growing up that he wouldn't be able to have kids. I'm sort of thinking that it might happen, might not happen. It was a bit of a shock to us, but of course we were absolutely over the moon excited. So basically right from the get-go, as soon as I found out, I was crazy OCD. Like I was the biggest pregnancy health person you would ever meet. So everything the doctor told me to do, I would do, and I would Google more and be like, can't do that, can't do this, can't do that. Like I was so, now I look back, I was actually way too over the top. I needed to just chill out and relax a little bit. Eat any seafood, I wouldn't eat like basically any takeout, anything that was like sitting somewhere and not not freshly made, I would not eat. I pretty much just ate everything at home and made everything from scratch. So I wouldn't even eat, like, you know those salads from Coles that are like in the packet, ready to go? I wouldn't eat those. I was very good. I was like too good. It was really OCD. So when I first went to see my obstetrician at about, you know, that 5-week mark, I went to see her and she had a little look around and everything because I actually had a bit of bleeding, which is quite normal really early on. Like it wasn't anything to worry about. She checked the baby's heartbeat, everything was fine. So I actually showed really early. I started to have a bump, like at 10 weeks, I'm not even joking. We would have people come into my work. I worked as an optical assistant, come into my work and be like, oh my gosh, how far along are you? And I'm like, my God, I'm only 10 weeks, like you can already tell. So I was quite big. So at 16 weeks pregnant, while I was at work one day, it was a really busy day. I was busting for the toilet, finally got the opportunity to go, went to the bathroom, and when I looked down I noticed I was bleeding, but it was much heavier than the original time that I did. As you can imagine, I was absolutely freaking out. I just instantly thought, holy crap, I'm miscarrying. So I walked back into work. I was trying my best to hold my shit together and not burst out crying. But as soon as one of the girls looked at me and goes, oh my gosh, are you okay? Because I must have looked like I'd seen a ghost. I started bursting out crying and I told her what had happened. I rang my obstetrician and she's like, come in, like right away, we can see you. So I went in there and I met my partner there. I rang him and he finished work early and met me over there. And she checked baby, everything was perfectly fine, heart was beating, like there was no reason for it. So she's like, everything's fine, like go back to work like normal tomorrow. So I went back again the next day and it got to about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, same thing again, went back to the obstetrician again, she was fine. So basically it was like this random little thing, they didn't know what was going on. And it kept happening off and on until around about 19 weeks where it started to get more intense, and it was literally happening every single day as soon as I was walking on my feet for more than 10 minutes. So being someone who also, like, my sanity is going walking and working out and things like that, I had to stop everything. I could not go to work anymore. I couldn't even go for a walk around the block. Basically, they ended up finding out that there was a blood clot, and they said to me, and it was like 5 centimeters, so it was like a decent size. They said to me, if this blood clot comes out, there is a very high chance that your baby will follow through and you would have a miscarriage. So I was pretty much like on bed rest, sorta. Like I could walk around and do stuff, but I just had to take it super duper easy. And that was really early on, so that was at like 19 weeks. The following week, we had an appointment with the specialist. So early days before this, we also got like all the blood tests and everything you can get done to make sure that everything's fine and Bub's healthy. And basically everything came back amazing. We couldn't have asked for better results. It was like 1 in 38,000 chance that there was anything abnormal. So we were like, oh, that's great. Like that's awesome. That's pretty much all you want is a healthy baby. Like that's all you can wish for when you're pregnant. So anyways, I went to this specialist appointment and it was actually just to check on the bleeding because I had the blood clot and things like that. So she like did a little scan and everything, and right at the end she goes to me, ooh, and I was like, oh shit, like my heart sunk. I was like, what is that ooh for? And she was like, it looks like your baby's got a cleft lip, a complete cleft lip and a complete cleft palate. So that basically means from the nose to the lip is completely open. So, and also all the way inside, so all the way back to the back of her throat, completely open. I was like, a cleft lip? What's a cleft lip? Like, I've never even heard of that in my life. Like, I don't know what that is. So she explained it to me and she said to me, go home and Google a picture of it and have a look at it when you get home. She goes, I don't want to do it now because it might be a little bit confronting, sort of thing. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I started crying. I was like, what does this mean? Yeah, so basically it was the longest drive home ever. Me and my partner just both crying in the car because we were like, what's going on? We got home, we Googled a photo together. And I'm not gonna lie, it was very, very confronting. And of course on freaking Google, the worst photo that you could ever picture of a baby with a cleft lip and palate came up. So it probably took us a good, I would probably say like 5 to 6 weeks to really get our head around it. And like be, you know, like, okay, that's fine, this is happening, I'm sure we'll deal with it and it'll be okay. So straight after that appointment, about a week later, we had another appointment with my obstetrician, so it was a follow-up of that appointment. And I walked in and I told her what had happened and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, yeah, I know. And she's like, so would you like to continue the pregnancy or did you want to terminate? And I was like, oh my God, I looked straight at Kurt. I just started bawling out crying. And he's like, it's just her lip, isn't it? It's just her lip. He just kept saying that, it's just her lip. And she's like, yeah, it's just her lip, like for what we know right now, but there is a 1 in 3 chance that your baby will either have a syndrome or have a missing chromosome. So that was a lot to take in as well. And we sort of were at that point in our pregnancy, we're 20 weeks along, so we had to kind of decide then and there if we wanted to continue or not. You could get a blood test done, which we did. It cost like $1,000 and went to America to know whether your baby has got any of those issues. But the problem was it took about a month or longer for the results to come back. So we had to decide really then and there whether we wanted to continue regardless or not, which of course we did. I'm so glad every day that we took the chance. So yeah, we got that blood test done, obviously, and I will say that 4 weeks was the longest 4 weeks of my life. I swear I cried every single day. Like, having a baby with a cleft lip and a cleft palate was like quite daunting, and like, okay, things are going to be a little bit tougher with the feeding, and I most probably couldn't breastfeed. There's a lot to sort of take in, but then also on top of that, knowing that there's a really high chance that she could have a like missing chromosome or a syndrome, that was really intense, especially because we were so young. I was only 22 when I was pregnant. So yeah, it was not the happiest of times, but right around that time as well, that is when Kurt proposed to me and asked me to marry him. So that made it a little bit of a happier time, which was good. So yeah, finally after 4 weeks, I told my obstetrician, I was like, don't even bother getting me in there. As soon as you know what's happening, like phone me. I just want to know ASAP. Like as soon as you get the results in, please, like just phone me. Like I can't wait to hear like what's happening. Like either way, we need to prepare ourselves. So Kurt had just walked back in from work one afternoon and my phone rang and it was her. And I was like, what is it? What does it say? What do the results say? And she's like, your baby's not got any other issues besides a cleft lip and palate. And I literally, it sounds really dramatic, I literally like fell to the floor and bawled my eyes out. I was so happy. I didn't realize how much I was holding it all in until I actually found out, but I was shitting myself. From there on, we just sort of got our head around having a baby that was going to be born with a cleft lip and palate. We looked into surgeons, where we were going to get it done. I went onto this like group called Cleft Pals, which they're amazing. If you find out that you're going to have a baby with a cleft lip or cleft palate, they are like, yeah, they're incredible. We had to figure out what sort of bottles we would need to feed her, tons of things. Anyways, my pregnancy after that was fairly normal. There wasn't really too much going on, except I couldn't exercise, obviously. I still had to be like really careful because the blood clot still hadn't come. So the blood clot was still sitting up there the whole time I was pregnant, basically. Yeah, it didn't actually come out until after I had her. Crazy. And right towards the end, maybe about 6 weeks before her due date, we went in for an obstetrician appointment, and baby usually grew a significant amount every single week. So we went in for this appointment and she had not grown at all. And I was like, oh, like that's really strange. She's like, don't think too much about it, it's fine, blah, blah, blah. Sorry, my dog's trying to get into the room. I'm just gonna let him in. Okay, I'm back. Oh my gosh, now I forget what I was saying. oh yeah, she's like, don't worry about it, it's fine. Sometimes it just happens, like come back in 4 days, because every single day, like she grew significantly. She was like, come back in 4 days and we'll check it again and make sure, like, don't stress, don't worry. And I was like, okay, I'll try not to worry. 4 days passed, we went back in, and I think she was thinking that Bub would have grown by then as well. And she hadn't grown anymore again. So I was like, okay, what is going on? And to be honest, the entire pregnancy, being a mum, you just blame yourself. Like with the cleft and everything, I was like, what the hell, what have I done? Like, is there something I've done wrong? And the whole time they just kept saying, it's not you, it's not you, it's just a sporadic thing that occurs. So, but you just always think, you're like, was it this or was it that? And it's like, Kiara, you didn't even do anything. Like I was so over the top, crazily healthy and like good my entire pregnancy. So I know it wasn't, but at the time you just feel like it's your fault because they're growing inside of you. Anyways, I was like, what's happening? Like, is my placenta not working? Like, what's going on? You could clearly see that the blood flow from the placenta to Bub was still perfectly fine. So there wasn't really any reason for her to not be growing. She said to me, you're coming back in a week. I'm not going to get you in every 4 days because you're just going to stress about it. She's like, you need to take a few deep breaths. Don't worry. Everything's fine. Blah, 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 blah. Came back the following week and she said to me, I'm not going to measure her because I can see that the blood is going to her and everything's fine, so I'm not going to measure her. And at this point in time, I'd waited a whole week to see what she was going to measure at, and like I was over the top thinking about these numbers and I was like Googling so bad. She didn't measure her and I was like, but I'm going to be more stressed out if you don't. But she was like, I'm not doing it. Anyway, she got me in the following week again and she said, she actually did say to me, she was like, I was thinking about you the whole week and I probably should have and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yes, you probably should have. But anyways, not holding any grudges, whatever. I had a very difficult pregnancy and I feel bad for my obstetrician. So when I went back for my following appointment and she did measure her, she was like, okay, this baby still hasn't grown. So it had been quite a while, and the whole way through my pregnancy, like Milla was just growing like crazy. So it was really odd and I was feeling funny. I wasn't feeling like myself. And she said to me, I'm going to do a stretch and sweep while you're here, which is basically like a little, I'm not going to go into too much detail, but something they do to naturally help birth occur if it's going to happen. Anyways, when she did it, she checked and she said to me, you're already 4 centimeters dilated, so this baby is ready to come. This appointment was on a Wednesday afternoon and she said to me, I'll book an induction for you on Monday. And because Bub was so small and because of her cleft, we always thought that I would just have to have a C-section. Like that was pretty much like what we thought. Anyways, I went home that afternoon and she said to me, go out, have a dinner, have a glass of wine. I'm like, I'm not having a glass of wine. I've gone friggin' 10 months without it. I'll be fine. I don't need a glass of wine. Anyways, we went out to a nice dinner. And I just kept saying, God, I just feel off. I just feel really funny. Like we went out for like an hour or something and I was like, I'm ready to go home. Let's go home. Let's go to bed. Got home, did not even sleep till 11:30, and from the stretch and sweep it can cause you to bleed a little bit afterwards, but I was bleeding quite a bit and it hadn't slowed down. So I called the maternity ward and I was like, what do you guys want me to do? And they said, come up and see us and we'll check you out. Anyway, I went up there and on the way up I started saying to Kurt, I've got a bit of back pain, I just feel a bit uncomfortable, like I'm not feeling that great. So we got up there and I said, I don't know if I'm having contractions or not, but don't get excited. That's what I kept saying to him. Don't get excited because I don't want to get your hopes up and blah, blah, blah. And he was definitely excited. So we got up there and she had a check of me and they're like, wow, you're 6 centimeters dilated. You're going straight to the birthing suite. Baby came super quickly. It took like 7 hours and she was here. Honestly, if I didn't know I was in labor until they checked me. So if I'd stayed at home and gone when I actually thought I was in labor, it would have been such a quick birth experience. But it was fine. Everything was good. She came out and that's probably a long enough YouTube video. I think I might do like a part 2 segment on when I initially saw her and how I felt about everything, seeing her with the cleft. And then I might also go in a little bit about those first few weeks and her operation and feeding and caring for her and things like that. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please remember to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you.